and welcome to Lovebug Lounge, a podcast about self-love. Tune in, transform, and continue your growth with me, your host, Mia Rose. I want to take a second early on to say thank you for all the kind messages. Thank you for all the kind comments. Thank you to everyone who reaches out and feels comfortable enough to share their story with me. All of those things really keep me going. I think it's just starting to set in that people are listening to this podcast, not for me, but actually because they're getting something out of it. I don't know why that's so hard to wrap my head around, but it is. I guess up until this point, I kind of felt like people were only listening to appear as a good friend, which, to be very blunt and straightforward, if that was the only reason anyone was ever listening, just to be a good friend, that would mean a lot to me. Even if they were only listening to show that they supported me and to get my recognition in some way, that would absolutely be enough. But the fact that people are listening and coming back to the podcast because they like the content, because they like me, because they're interested in what I have to say or what I think, and they're eager to know more. It's honestly, it's just hard to fathom. It's beautiful and it's fulfilling, but it's hard to fathom, and it will, I think, take some time to settle in. As the podcast grows, unfortunately, a kind of inverse reaction takes place. As more people follow, I think the more I end up actually questioning myself, which is definitely not to say stop following or I want any of these pages to stop gaining followers. It's just to say it's a love-hate relationship. That's all. And that's honestly not what I expected. On one hand, I love that people are following along. I love to see our little family grow. And I think it's beautiful that people relate and are interested enough to want to see me on their timeline. I know there are plenty of times I see a video I like or a creator I like or a creator who inspires me, and maybe I see some of their videos multiple times, but to be honest, rarely do I end up following. So I do appreciate everyone who's followed or subscribes, and I really, really appreciate everyone who's shared. But on the other hand, the part that I wasn't expecting is with every follower or subscriber, the journey becomes more real. Everything I plan to say, I reread it 3 times instead of twice. Knowing the more people who follow you, the larger chance you have of someone making fun of you or taking something the wrong way. At the very least, absolutely that there's more eyes on you. And it causes you to overthink. At least it causes me to overthink. Why did this reel underperform compared to, this other one? Why did this get more views or more likes or whatever? And then you unconsciously, unknowingly, no, it's definitely knowingly, but you don't want to, but you still think about it the next time you're going into the next podcast, the next time you're brainstorming the next idea. And it kind of messes with your creative process. I think that then causes you to lose your substance, your authenticity. It makes you lose the very thing that people are actually looking for, the very thing people are actually following you for. Because when you are more focused on what 200 people want to hear, or the next shocking clickbait title that you could use to perfectly appeal to all of those people, if you keep trying to follow that formula instead of your truth, it's just going to get worse as it grows to 300 and 400 and 1,000 and maybe 10,000. Authenticity is obviously the most important thing for me for this podcast. An honest space is what I needed when I made this, and really, no matter what phase of life I'm in or where I am or who I'm with or how old I am, whatever and wherever I'll be, I'll always need an honest, supportive space, and I think we all will. The overthinking that followed the last couple episodes, I think it was the worst solely because I was a lot more vulnerable. So there was a lot more of the world to see of me. And therefore there's more the world can attack or question. And of course, I'm going to feel more vulnerable the more I share, but it was absolutely worth it, 100%. It was worth it because a lot of you not only supported me, but I had a lot of survivors come forward and tell me that the last couple podcasts helped them, which as a survivor myself, at some points in the journey, it kind of feels like nothing's going to help and no one's going to understand. So to have multiple people reach out to me and say that the podcast made them feel seen and it helped them move forward and it helped them gain confidence in themselves and become more sure of themselves, that was the greatest gift of all. Really just solidified that I definitely want to keep doing this. Unfortunately, it did, like, that overthinking and kind of vulnerability I felt, it did scarily kind of make me dread moving forward. Even though I knew that's what I wanted to do, I started to kind of dread even brainstorming the next ideas or writing the next couple episodes. And I really started to even put it off. I would know, okay, today's the day I should do this. I have the freedom, I have the time, and I would find excuses for why I wasn't going to. I think in a way I was doing that because it starts to kind of feel like you're being graded. The first couple episodes didn't, because I didn't know what to expect. In those first couple episodes, it was very easy to lose myself in the writing and in the planning, because as I was doing it, I realized, like, oh my gosh, there's no teacher or professor I'm turning this into. There's no one that's going to fix my pronunciation. There's no one that's going to tell me what to say and how to say it. There's no one that's going to tell me to make it more formal or more emotional or more concise. It's just mine, and I could put it out whatever way I want, whatever way I see fit. But the more you start to get feedback, the audience kind of becomes your professor, and the feedback becomes the red pen. And without realizing it, it did start to feel kind of like school or like a chore, or it just felt less freeing. Even when, and I really, really, really want to stress, this is just my perspective. I mean, obviously, basically everything I talk about is just my perspective. But even when the feedback had only been positive, because you still are now kind of like placing yourself on this pedestal, and you dread the day that you might get feedback that's negative, and you still kind of create narratives in your head about what people are really saying or what they're thinking behind your back, and it really drives you insane. So all of this to say, the love that you give me really, really, really does help. I don't just say that. It really hits my heart every single time someone says that they like this podcast, or someone says that it helped them, or that it was entertaining, or that they can't wait for the next episode, or when they talk about things they want to hear me talk about in the future. Like, all of that love really, really helps. I love when you guys reach out to me. I love when you guys tell me like your individual favorite parts. It just really feels like y'all see me for me and love me for me, which is, I think, what anybody in the world wants. And also, all of this to say, you have to just keep doing you in whatever project, or maybe not even in a project, just in life. You have to just keep doing you. It is absolutely, as I always say, necessary to grow and change, and it's okay to be different, and it's okay to get influenced by those around you or by someone who inspires you. This is an obvious message, but just make sure you're making those changes for you and for your best interest. Ultimately, everyone is going to have their opinions. Even your friends who love you and whom you love, they still will have opinions and ideas that don't align with your own. And it's up to you to even then still trust yourself and still trust your vision and push forward. Before we get into today's episode, I also want to say I hope everyone's Valentine's Day was good. I hope you felt as loved and as special as you really are. If you're in a relationship, I hope your partner made you feel seen and appreciated. If you're single, I hope you treat yourself like royalty, because truly self-love is the most important love. I know as a single person, it's easy to feel maybe a bit resentful or left out or upset seeing all the couples on Valentine's Day. And obviously that makes total sense, because everything on Valentine's Day isn't geared towards self-love. It's geared towards relationship. But let me remind you, you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors in those couples. Your peace is truly priceless. And when you're single, it's a different kind of peace if you let it be. When you're single, you know no one's cheating on you. When you're single, you know no one's giving you silent treatment and making you blow up their phone. You know that no one's blowing up your phone when you're at work. No one is putting you down or questioning you or making you question yourself or your abilities. And that's definitely peace. Really, a relationship and being single, they both have their challenges and they both take work. It's just a different type of work. I also think it's really important to note that media in any and all forms kind of sells you this idea that a relationship will make you whole, especially I feel as a woman, and it as a man too. Actually, it's just usually in a different way. For, straight women, there's this idea that a man is going to save you and he's going to make you whole, and you are just this like woman that needs to kind of be tamed by a man, and that is the most complete self you'll ever feel. And for straight men, even when they are the lone wolf, it still usually like attracts this woman, or it's because of a woman. Men don't come for me, but I think with like John Wick, wasn't his like wife like dead? So like then he was like a lone wolf because like he wasn't like complete without her, and like he had to like just kill people. I don't know. But even if it's not that type of trope, it's still like men are supposed to have multiple relationships with women, and that's what's making them whole, not their accomplishments, career, anything. It's the fact that multiple women are attracted to them. And it's basically just selling the idea in both of these cases that the opposite sex is going to fulfill you, whether it's their attraction, whether it's having sex with them, whether it's being in a relationship with them. Your life is basically not complete until you found your other person, and it's just not true. Many things could be fulfilling, and maybe even more fulfilling. Your friends, your career, your hobbies, your activism. Many things make you you and make you whole, and a relationship shouldn't be one of them. On top of that, no one other person is going to fix you. They can't fix you. I really wish it was that easy. I wish all of your problems could just be solved if you just got in a good relationship. But that's not how it works. Certainly people can aid, and they could push you to be better, and they could provide a safe space for you to grow, and people may help you, but no one fixes everything. You have to take the big hard steps, and you have to do the work yourself, whether you're single or in a relationship. And no one completes you. You are whole. You are a whole person by yourself. You having a partner usually, because I don't know everyone's circumstance, but usually will not fix all your problems and insecurities, and it's dumb to pretend that it does. Usually the insecurities, the problems are right there waiting to be confronted again. And sometimes relationships, especially with people you care about, will bring up things that you thought you already worked through, or it'll bring up stuff that you didn't even know you had. And I feel like that's something that not a lot of people talk about. Sometimes you might even be seemingly a healthier person out of a relationship than in it, because when you're in it, that's when all of your triggers actually come to light. I am a strong believer in everything for a reason, even if I can't make sense of it right when it's happening. So just know, whatever stage you're at, however old you are, you have time, and I believe it's all going to fall into place the way it's supposed to. So with all of that, today's episode is a bit more casual. It's a bit less heavy. The last two episodes emotionally have been a lot for me, and maybe even a lot for you as a listener. So I wanted this episode to still be meaningful, of course, but just be a little bit lighter. This episode also, I think, is really just things I need to hear and things I wish somebody was telling me. So hopefully they will also be things that someone else needs to hear. As mentioned earlier, about the dread and the overthinking, I really needed an episode that I looked forward to making, an episode that was fun making, and I looked forward to planning. And that for me was this episode. This episode is kind of recentering. This episode felt like a lot like the first one, where I just like lost myself in the writing of it. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you like it. So all this talking about today's episode, what is it about? I'm so glad you asked, even though I know you read the title. Today's episode is about listening to your body, listening to you. You know you best. Even if you question yourself, even if you're indecisive, even if sometimes you regret your choices, I firmly believe you know you best. You really, I think, just have to start listening to you more often to fully figure out who you are. New drinking game. Take a sip every time I say you. So I've already talked a little bit about how this episode came to be, but let's go a little deeper on it. Maybe about a month ago, I've been working out pretty regularly. Whoop whoop. Growing up, I played all types of sports. I think I've mentioned this before, but with the sports I played, I was always doing privates, like private training and weightlifting, and I just was athletic and in a sport for so long. I just could never imagine a time that I wouldn't be athletic and moving my body, but it happens. I graduated high school. I didn't start playing sports in college. New responsibilities came about, and working out just wasn't in my top priorities. After about 3 years of inconsistent gym sessions, I finally am being pretty consistent. But not only am I being consistent, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm actually falling in love with the process of it all. So as we learned in the first episode, I am working and probably will always have to continue to work at getting out of my perfectionist ways, which is hard, but I 10 out of 10 recommend it. Makes life so much more enjoyable. In the past with working out, if I would miss a day or have like a slower workout, if I missed my protein goal, if I didn't stretch as intensely as I thought I needed to, that would cause me to spiral and usually give up. My mindset was kind of like, well, I already messed up, so why should I keep going? I just felt like there was no recovering. Even if, like I said, like one of the things I mentioned was having a slower workout. I still would work out, but since it wasn't the ideal workout I thought I should have, in my brain, there's just no recovering. I just should throw in the towel. I was also hyper focused on my results. It would literally be a weekend. I was already constantly body checking. I was taking a ton of pictures. I was doing comparisons to what my body looked like a week ago, and also comparisons to like other people's journey and other people's story, and seeing if, you know, if I was behind, if I was ahead. Really the main reason I think I was working out after playing sports was just to have a physical difference, like physically look different, not physical strength difference. Sports was for fun, it was for passion, but for some reason that didn't translate after I graduated. It was really just to look a certain way. But none of my old ways worked out for me, obviously, so I knew moving forward, if working out was something I wanted to incorporate into my life, I was going to have to do something differently. And of course, I'm going to premise this with, this is just what's been working for me. I am not saying anyone follow my ways to a T or even follow them at all. So a month ago, when I started this little working out journey, I started to just tell myself a silly workout, a short workout, a half-ass workout is better than no workout. Even when I don't feel like working out, I just repeat to myself over and over and over as many times as I need. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Now, by half-ass, I don't mean unsafe. No matter how short or fun or whatever your workout is, you should always be safe with good form and an intentional mind to muscle, and no pushing yourself or overextending or ego lifting or anything like that. No matter your workout, always, always, always put your body's safety first. I just think for myself, like, you know, I'm thinking, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do an intense weight leg day. And then it gets to tomorrow and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Okay, then I'm going to push myself really hard for 20 minutes doing a YouTube booty building compilation workout video. Or if, you know, I was like, I'm going to run a mile and I don't feel like doing that. Okay. And I'm going to walk on an incline for 30 minutes. Or, you know, maybe I do some yoga, or maybe I go roller skating, or maybe I do a 7-minute ab routine. I used to view all of these alternatives as giving up. And then because I view them as giving up, I thought, well, I might as well not do anything anyways at all. But it's not giving up. It's building consistency. It's showing yourself that you can show up for you, even when you aren't 100% up to it. And this is also a journey of finding what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I used to see all these like gym and fitness Instagram posts about, if you want physical results, stop doing these band workouts, stop doing donkey kicks. You need to lift heavy and you need to eat all of these things and all this stuff. And I bet they're right. I'm not saying that's wrong, but you have to also think, like, who are those videos geared towards? They're probably geared towards people who do competition, or they're geared towards people that need to make a physical change in a short amount of time, or maybe they're geared towards people that have been in their fitness journey for a lot longer than I have. And when you try to have all these like little like checkpoints or like these all these little can't do this, have to do this instead. Nope, can't do this. This needs to be more specific. It just, at least for me, it just made it so it's like I don't actually want to do it at all anymore because there's too many little requirements and nuances. And I realized I'm a beginner. I'm not training for anything. I just want to feel good. And isn't that why we work out anyways? To feel good? So experiment. Find movement that feels good to you, knowing what works one day might not be what you want the next day. And that is completely fine. Working out should be enjoyable even when it's hard. Otherwise, it's impossible to stick with. I used to think people were crazy when they said they enjoyed working out, because I would work out and I would be like, no, you don't. You're lying to me. I hate this. But now I get it. Even when everything is burning or I'm out of breath, or it's burning and I'm out of breath, there is this overwhelming, just underlying foundation feeling of pride, of joy, of content, just this feeling of, wow, like, yes, I am doing this. Like, look at me go. And with every little burn or soreness, it's like, wow, like I accomplished that. I did that. So I no longer overly push myself with weight or 1,000-step workout routine, because I know eventually I'll get there and there's no rush. And this is for me and my health and my body. And I'm not in any type of challenge, and I'm not trying to start up a workout channel. So what's the rush? Why can't I have fun? Why can't I take my time? We all know also from the first episode that I could be incredibly hard on myself, and usually that's what comes with perfectionism. So it used to be if I missed a day, my self-talk would be bad for hours, maybe even days, and it would not let up no matter what I was doing. I used to just walk around making breakfast, doing laundry, whatever it was, and the whole time my internal voice is telling me I'm so dumb. I'm incapable of everything. I can't be trusted to do anything. I can't be trusted to keep any promises. I suck. I'm a quitter. I'm not deserving. Everything's my fault. There's no excuses. It's not okay. You make time for what's important to you. So obviously this isn't important to you. And therefore my health and me and my needs aren't important to me. And I'm lazy. And I just go on and on and on and on, talking to myself like this abusive military man. And truly, where did that get me? Just farther in a hole of hating myself and not believing myself, and therefore not trying things that I really wanted to try, and not getting back up and starting over again. But now I talk to myself the way I talk to my stuffed animals, or used to talk to my stuffed animals when I was a child. Definitely not now, because I'm an adult woman. But now, if I miss a day, it doesn't matter how initially angry I am at myself. It doesn't matter how much I fear, I guess, for what missing a day means about who I am and my character. If I miss a day, immediately zen talk to myself. It's okay. There's always tomorrow. There's always 5-minute yoga. There's always a minute plank. And maybe there's nothing for today, and that's okay. And maybe there's even nothing for tomorrow, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm lazy. It doesn't mean I'm unserious about my progress. It doesn't mean I'm not trustworthy. It doesn't mean that I make excuses for myself. It literally only means I didn't work out for a day or two. That's all it is. I'm learning how not to prescribe meaning to everything. I'm learning how to just let things be and not tell a story about what's going to happen or why it happened. It's funny, not being hard on myself and not talking down to myself like an inconsiderate parent actually made me better and more consistent at what I wanted to do. Weird concept, right? Being kind to myself, talking to myself nicely. This approach has slowly made me stop questioning myself, because this approach has actually made me fall in love with working out. So when I don't feel like working out, I trust that feeling, because in the past, I didn't trust myself. So if I didn't feel like working out, it'd be like, oh, you're just trying to get out of this thing. You're just trying to be lazy. You're just trying to make yourself feel better for not getting off your ass. But now, since I like working out, if I don't want to work out, I'm like, there must be something to that. So I try and ask myself with no judgment, do you want to skip this workout because you need rest? Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? Or do you want to skip this workout just because you don't want to do it? And if it's the latter, if it's simply, I just don't want to do this, okay, that's okay. I will try and find something I do want to do, because there are a million ways to move your body, and I'm sure there's at least one of them that I'm going to be willing to do. And in the past, I would have never thought to do that, because if it wasn't my perfect routine or exactly what I need to do on Tuesday, then nope, giving up, I'm a failure. But now there's so much fluidity with it, and I think that's really been the key to everything. We're not robots, and especially as women, be gentle to yourself, listen to yourself. Your body really knows what you need. I guess that's why I'm having this episode. Listen to your body. Back to it though. If I feel like I need rest, then so be it. Why question it? The more I push myself, the more rest I'm going to need. So I might as well recharge now. This leads me to my next topic, rest. I have never been an early riser. I've always been a night owl. As young as I could remember, I always was staying up late, usually playing quietly by myself. Or if I was at my grandparents', I talked to my grandpa until 3 a.m. about everything under the sun. Now, my mom is a super early riser and she could stay up late. Her insomnia has worked out for her. But I think because of her inability to get good rest, she kind of feels like sleeping is gluttonous. In her mind, no successful person wakes up late, and in trying to get me to have better sleep habits, it really just, I think, became a key factor for my bad relationship with sleep. I have an extremely hard time falling asleep if I feel like I wasn't productive enough that day, which leads me to staying up late, which leads me to waking up late. And because I work nights, I usually wake up late, try to do a little bit of something, maybe a little bit of housework, a little bit of homework, but then I usually just have to go straight to my job. So then when I get off, even though it's late, I still feel the need to stay up and be productive, and then the cycle just continues. Often if I wake up and it's 30 minutes or an hour after I had planned to wake up, I really just want to sleep the rest of the day and start everything over. The immense feeling of shame and guilt it feels inescapable. I don't want to say unbearable because that feels really dramatic, but it's just extremely unpleasant. Now, though, with the change in my mindset, I've been working on, if I sleep in or I wake up late, I literally try and stop any negative self-talk in its tracks, and I literally tell myself, I am not mad at myself. Today can still and is an amazing day with many opportunities. Whatever is meant to be will find me, and whatever I missed was a blessing or a lesson. I think my fear has always been, if I'm not mad at myself, I won't grow, because then that means that what I did was okay if I'm not mad, When I've really learned it's the opposite. When I'm mad at myself, I'm scared to make any moves. I'm scared to do anything. I'm scared to try new things. I'm scared to trust myself for fear of triggering myself into this long self-loathing marathon. It's when I'm kind to myself, when I'm accepting of my human nature, that's when I grow and that's when I get better. I think I learned from my childhood, basically, like if I tried to move on from any of my screw ups too quickly, that I was getting off easy. I think the message was, if you think you can just say sorry and move on, then you're wrong. And it was kind of explained that then you're not taking things seriously. So I started to punish myself more than any parent could punish me. Kind of having the mindset that there's nothing anyone can say to me or think about me that I haven't already said or thought to myself. But that mindset is not sustainable. It eventually just really starts to mess with your self-image and the belief in yourself, which I guess is no surprise. But your body, my body, everybody needs a safe space in order to grow. Your body can't be in survival mode and self-actualize, which is not to say that my negative self-talk was putting me in survival mode. But the way I think of it is like, if you're trying to grow a cutesy little plant from just a seed, you have to nurture it, especially in the beginning. You have to protect it from animals or bugs or the elements, and you have to supply all the good stuff it needs. You are the seed, and that negative self-talk is like digging in the seed out of the soil, leaving it exposed for everything, and then trying to plant it again, and then doing that over and over and over again. Even if that seed sprouts, it's not going to be growing as steadily as the one who's going to be in a calm, nurturing environment. Ultimately, you're resilient, and you'll grow and change regardless of the elements and circumstances. And the world can be tough and unforgiving already, so you don't need to be that way towards yourself. Those jobs are already covered. What your body needs, what my body needs, what everybody needs, is someone who has its back. Listening to your body usually does look very different for everyone. Maybe it's standing up for yourself to a friend or an acquaintance. Maybe it's setting a boundary with a boss. Maybe it's admitting that you just need a nap. Maybe it's not doing your classmates' part of the project. Maybe it's being vulnerable with your partner. Whatever it is though, here's your sign to start. And if you have started, keep going, keep practicing. Sometimes you listen to yourself and it doesn't quite go the way you're expecting it to, but that doesn't mean to stop. For me personally, a situation that doesn't work out, but I was being authentic, is 1,000,000,000,000,000,000% more fulfilling than something that does work out, but I was sacrificing my needs or trying to impress somebody. When you are authentic, it'll start taking you down a path that's meant for you. Start matching you up with gigs and people and connections that fit you, the real you. Authenticity is the highest frequency, which I'm not really sure the science behind that, so I'm not going to pretend to. But I do know that when you're yourself, when you're genuine, when you follow your gut, you find more things for you, better pathways and options and opportunities. But when you're doing things solely for others and pushing down or away what's best for you, you're going to keep finding yourself in those situations, surrounded by the same types of people, until you decide to make that change. You are strong enough to make that change. I feel very sure of it, and I feel very, very sure of you. And hopefully that provides some encouragement. And that concludes our episode 7, lucky number 7. Today, my friends, I'd like you to think of one thing, one goal that you're not doing because it scares you, because you don't believe in yourself, or because you've psyched yourself out of it. So open up that notes app and write down 3 steps that'll bring you closer to that goal. These goals could be very niche or very broad. So here's a couple examples. If the goal is working out and you don't know where to start, step 1 could be list all of the activities that sound fun for you that you would count as working out. Swimming, hula hooping, yoga, Pilates, roller skating, kickball, jump rope, whatever you want. Step 2 could be write down or find available days and times, not exact, just an idea. And step 3 can be trying one of these activities or setting a day to try one of these activities and sticking to it. Now, if it's something like standing up for yourself and you don't know where to begin, step 1 is figuring out what you want from this interaction. Are you standing up for yourself to save a friendship? Are you standing up for yourself to try and get someone to leave you alone? Really think about what is your most perfect outcome. Step 2 can be writing a letter of everything you wish you could say, really everything, unfiltered. And step 3 could be actually practicing that thing or reaching out to that person and asking to talk. The point is, there's a lot of different things and a lot of different ways of approaching them, and you're bound to find something that works to you. Take it slow and be open to changing it up. As always, do you know what I'm going to say? You should know what I'm going to say. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, reach out, all of these lovely things. Take care, Lovebugs. The next time we talk, I'll be 22. Birthday is on February 24th, so if I have any birthday twins, reach out to me so I could wish you a very, very happy birthday. I can't wait to see you then and catch you up on all the wonderful things. Until then, be safe and believe in yourself.